Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to call this meeting to order at 12:01. First off, we'll be starting off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Supervisor Totello, do you mind? Thank you. At this time, we'll be doing roll call. Supervisor Sotelo,
Here.
Supervisor Kuro,
Here.
and then we have ex officio committee members from the Business Council, Christina Chavez. She is, give me,
Present.
San Benito Chamber of Commerce Foundation. Believe they're not present at this time. From San Benito County Economic Development Corporation, we have Renee present in the chambers. From Hollister Downtown Association. Oh, awesome, thank you. And then from the San Juan Bautista Economic Development Citizens Advisory Committee, San Juan Bautista Committee, I believe they're present on Zoom. Moving forward, can we get a motion for acknowledgement of the certificate of posting? Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
2-0. Passes. At this time, we'll be taking public comment on items not on the agenda. Those via Zoom can press *9 or the raise your hand icon. In chambers, please provide a speaker card. No comment. Moving on to regular agenda, we have the first item for the proposed resolution pursuant to AB 361, allowing teleconference options. We're going to go to the public. Anybody on Zoom, please press *9 or the raise your hand icon. In chambers, please provide a speaker card. No comment. May I get a motion?
Motion to approve resolution pursuant to AB 361.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
2-0. Next item on the agenda is appointing committee chair.
I'd like to appoint Mindy Sotelo as committee chair.
May we go to public comment?
Oh, public comment. Sorry.
Those on Zoom, please press *9 or the raise your hand icon. In chambers, please provide a speaker card. Okay. May I get a motion?
I move, and this is why I moved to have Supervisor Sotelo be chair. It's because I didn't even remember public comment. So I make a motion to have Supervisor Sotelo be chair.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
2-0. I'll pass it back to Supervisor and Chair of Economic Development. Sotelo?
Thank you, Gracie. Okay, so item 7, approved committee schedule. We'll be meeting monthly on the 4th Thursday at noon, or provide staff direction. Is there any public comment on that item?
*9 or the raise your hand icon. In chambers, please provide a speaker card. No comment.
Does that work with you, Supervisor Curl?
What do we do on days where there are no four? This is the only month that there's not a 4th Thursday. Is that correct?
Yes.
I don't have my calendars memorized. So
Actually, even this one there was, that would have been the 23rd of the month.
so this month there is, yeah, but last month's February, there wasn't.
No,
a
there
4th.
was.
Oh, was there?
February 23rd was the 4th Thursday.
Oh, okay. So am I on the right count? In all the months? That was my only question. I hadn't been able to go through the calendar.
Yeah, I think
Just
I
what
think
was
we're
the
good.
alternate? If there isn't a 4th Thursday, do we have an alternate date?
We would probably request that at the end of the meeting prior, but in this case,
Okay.
I just looked at the calendar. It looks like we.
Okay,
we're
then,
good.
then I have no problem.
And does that work with all of our partners?
Yes.
Fourth Thursday of the month at noon? We don't have any business council, Rotary, Chamber, any of those events on the fourth Thursday at noon, do we?
I can't comment
Business
on
council,
that.
I
I
think, is
know
the
business
first one.
council is Thursday, but it's not the 4th.
Mm.
It's the 1st.
The first, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Then the fourth Thursday at noon works for these economic development committee meetings. Do we need a motion on that?
Yes, please, just for the record.
So I'll make a motion that the committee schedule is that we will meet monthly on the fourth Thursday at noon.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
So 2-0.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, if we can receive an update from the Economic Development Corporation, including but not limited the progress on the SEDS strategy and any other activities that you've been working on. Thank you.
Renee, you don't have a presentation card.
Good afternoon, supervisors and staff. Nice to see you again in person. As everyone knows, I think I'm Renee Wells with the Executive Director of the Economic Development Corporation of San Benito County. I just want to give you a few updates. I'll try not to say too many times. Update of the SEDS. So we had our final SEDS Strategy Committee meeting on last Wednesday. And so the progress on the SEDS is great. In case no one knows what the SEDS is, it's the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy. The SEDS is about 50% done. We've completed a vision statement, the strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats analysis, or SWOT. It's about 90% done. We've done an economic analysis. It's about 90% done. We've completed numerous surveys and interviews with stakeholders that aren't on the SID Strategy Committee, as well as those that are on. We've identified a bunch of community projects that can move forward in the SEDS that can hopefully get funding from the EDA, Economic Development Administration. As everyone knows, I think on this committee, without those projects included in the update of the county's 5-year strategic plan, or the SEDS, you will not be able to get funding from the EDA, but it will also be more difficult to get funding from other federal and state sources because they look to see that you have a strategy in place and that you're looking at those projects moving forward. We've done a resiliency strategy related to energy, water, climate, earthquake, fire, and flooding. Once the draft is completed, we think that will be done in the next month. That will be reviewed completely by the EDC staff and board. The SED Strategy Committee will be asked to review it. Then it will go to the public for 30 days, and then it will be reviewed and approved, hopefully by the Board of Supervisors, and then go to the EDA for their approval. And then it will become the strategic plan for the next 5 years. And I'm happy to forward any slides from the last meeting to anyone who would like to have them. I think they're mostly, especially on in this group and on the Zoom call or Zoom, or there is somebody that's on the SID Strategy Committee committee, so they know what's going on.
Madam Chair, I would love copies of the slides, please.
Okay, and we can give you a copy of the presentation, the
That'd be
video
great.
too. So
Thank you.
we both like to have that. So we're in a good place. Moving on, I would like to know if there's something where we want to distribute information on the sales tax reimbursement program that the supervisors approved last year, and can't seem to find information to forward on to others as far as new businesses or businesses expanding. And so maybe someone can let me know where that document is so that we can move it forward. Haven't been able to find it on the Board of Super or the county website. So it may be that it's just not completed. It was part of the meeting, but it wasn't completed when it was approved. So I was just hoping that there was one document that we can forward on to potential applicants.
Okay, staff will work on that and
Okay.
then get that back.
Great. The EDC is also been working with Hazel Hawkins to try to find a loan program or some funding for them. So we've given them resources with the Small Business Administration and others, GoBiz, and they have some opportunities there. So we're hoping they can get more funding. We're working on the Community Economic Resiliency Fund, or the SURF program. It's been a long process. They're finally coming out on March 10th with a kickoff meeting, Zoom meeting for the planning phase. The EDC aligned itself with Uplift Central Coast Coalition, who in collaboration with the Monterey Bay Economic Partnership, the Monterey, the Economic Development Collaborative, and REACH have received the $5 million planning grant for the six counties that we are included in. So it's the Central Coast region includes Santa Cruz, San Benito, Monterey, San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara, and Ventura counties. And so this is going to be the first real meeting for the planning grant, how we can all collaborate with each other to make sure that San Benito County gets a piece of that pie. So as soon as that Zoom meeting is over on March 10th, I would like to form a committee or a working group representing the cities of San Juan Bautista, the county, and Hollister to try to collaborate on projects that can move forward. We don't want to be, fighting with each other over this is this project for Hollister and this is for San Juan Bautista or San Benito County. We want to make sure it's something that will work for the whole region, that falls in line with the whole resiliency grant. So I'll be in touch after that to try to set up just a working group of different people from different organizations, and maybe it's even from this committee to try to find specific projects that we can all collaborate on.
Can I make a quick comment, Madam
Sure.
Chair? So Ray, this is what I forwarded you yesterday. I registered for that and I made a request, and I'm not sure if it's a conflict. So I don't want to make a request that would be a conflict with the EDC. But with Uplift Central Coast, I was hoping maybe our grant writer might be able to join that event, to be able to just be aware of what's being done, maybe not taking a lead or anything, but having our grant writer be aware of what's happening with this, because there is a great potential for money, but you have to fight for it.
It's true.
Yeah.
This is a 2-year planning grant, and then there will be the big one. Yeah. It's like 600 million. So want to make sure we're part of that. And I think the webinar will be recorded. So if I find that out and someone wasn't able to attend, I'll be glad to forward it on. We've applied for a grant. The EDCD has to produce a brochure to highlight San Benito County. We did one numerous years ago, but it's outdated, and we just want to make sure that there's something in hand when a business or an organization comes to a council meeting or a board of supervisors meeting. Maybe there's something that we can do to have a brochure that highlights everything you can do in San Benito County, like the pinnacles or the different parks and those sort of things. So we're working with Waltz Design in San Juan Bautista. They did our brochure a while back, and so we applied for a grant with them to try to update that. We are also working with the city on business loans program. It was a downtown revitalization grant program that has now turned into, or not a grant program, a loan program. But now they've extended it out. You just have to have a business within Hollister. So it can be, doesn't have to be downtown. It can be anywhere in Hollister. And they're thinking now that they want to turn that into a grant program. So as soon as I have some more information, it's going back to the council I believe it's March 2nd or whenever the next council meeting is, because now they feel like it should be better as a grant program than a loan, because to have to handle all the paperwork, you need more staff to handle all those loans and make sure that, if there's collateral, that everything's in line. So I hope that it does turn into a grant program. It can help San Benito County overall. Let's see. I hope I'm not spending too much time. The EDC is finally working on business retention efforts in the city and county, and we're setting up a database to track and manage ongoing efforts, something called Blue Dot. And so I think it will be helpful, especially with the utility concerns, with the problem that we're having with PG&E. We're trying to focus just hiring a consultant that we've worked with before on business retention efforts until we know we can actually bring more businesses in and have the utility service. Right now, it's kind of up in the air where there's going to be 2 or 3 years before we have the substation updated in Hollister. We have 3 substations in San Benito County. One is in San Juan Bautista, but it's mainly for just the downtown San Juan Bautista area, and then a couple of the farms out there. And then there's one in Pinoche, which doesn't really benefit our area downtown. So the one substation that's by the 2 hotels, that's the one that covers all of San Benito County besides those other 2. And right now it needs to be expanded. It's at capacity, and PG&E is saying another 1.5 years, but we believe that they've already committed that expansion effort to businesses that are already have their applications in.
And Madam Chair, can I comment on that? I did meet with our PG&E rep on this topic. I think there is some misinformation out there. Their infrastructure is an issue, but it's all about your application. You get your application in, they will provide the service. And it's the more applications that get in, the faster they'll provide the service. So I want to make sure that we're working directly with PG&E and our rep to keep them abreast of businesses that are potentially, and then educating these businesses that it's not just about your planning process, it's also about your application into PG&E. Some businesses have put them in because they have like shovel ready projects. They've put them in some areas in advance so that it keeps that pipeline moving very quickly.
Right.
So my understanding from meeting with the PG&E, this is how it works across, our area. It's not just San Benito County. It's just a process.
Supervisor Curl, would you like to maybe extend an invitation to the PG&E rep to maybe do
I
a
think
presentation to this committee?
That would be a fantastic idea.
Can we put that for a
Mhm.
future agenda
Yep.
item,
Yeah,
please?
so that it's very clear about how this process works, and that even though we may not have the infrastructure right now, the infrastructure will be there, especially it's just educating and having utilities include not just water, sewer, but also making sure your PG&E application's in.
I agree. And I did have a meeting with RCRC, included Gina Arnold and
Oh, great.
a few people, and we did discuss it. And at the time, when we heard about the applications, it's very expensive because you have to have all your architect, all
Mhm.
your drawings, everything done in advance. And then if you do all that work and it's super expensive, before you can put the application in to PG&E, you might find out it's 3 years out for you to get service. It doesn't mean that you're going to be included in that expansion. It may be another expansion. So it's not real clear, but now we've learned with PG&E that our representative is willing to have us put together a list of potential businesses like the Research Park, Strata Verde, whatever it is, and say, we have this list, this is a load requirement. How long is it going to take to get these completed if they go through the process? And they can also they can start the permitting process and the application through the city or county, and have also put their application into PG&E saying that they're working on it.
Yep, exactly.
So there was and I think it was that everyone thought it was super expensive. There are no real guidelines on paper that you can go to PG&E and say, this is the check mark I need. And there was some confusion with city and county thinking, well, we don't need to know if you've gotten PG&E. So we'll have you pay for the permit, start the process, but they don't look to you and say, or the business and say, oh, but have you gone to PG&E yet? So, it's kind of both sides that need to work together a little bit better. And there needs to be some streamlining of processes so that, but I think it would be great to have PG&E in this discussion so that
Absolutely.
everyone's clear of the.
Absolutely. I think that would be great, just to make sure that they understand what their role is as a potential new business. And I'm happy to hear that you guys are putting together a project list. The load information is crucial. That's really what they have to know.
Right.
And it can't be guesses. My understanding is they don't put the infrastructure in until they have I know it is needed.
Right.
But we know we're going to have a boom, hopefully, right? Cross our fingers that we're going to have this economic boom. So we need to start moving forward with making sure PG&E is on board with us.
I
So
agree.
thank you.
And I think that's all my updates, unless anyone has any questions. I'm sure there's more, but I don't want to take up everyone's time.
Any questions?
I maybe just have maybe a couple questions. Are we doing anything right now as far as like kind of helping with streamlining the setup of processes, things of that sort for businesses coming in from, like, is the Economic Development Corporation working on that at all with, with the county and with the city trying to, I see this as a perfect opportunity right now for us to bring in some business and have some new opportunities. Do we have anything like that that's kind of being worked on?
We are working on that. We have quarterly meetings with the RMA department and with the city planning department. And our next ones are this Friday. But we are trying to work on streamlining, making sure that the process, that if they need a flow chart or a checklist of any sort, that we can help them do that so that it's a lot clearer. And I know, like with the Acela, I want to say software, or Excella, I think it's called. Is that?
Yeah,
how
it's a seller.
Okay. I know the county has that, and the city is going on to that, which is really great because then you can follow where your permit is in the process. You can see comments. And now that the city and county are going to be on the same software, the county staff have agreed to probably do a public forum of sorts or Zoom or something to show how to use it so that everyone's clear. So we are trying to help them with those processes and anything else we can with making streamline.
Okay. And then I know you had mentioned working on a brochure highlighting San Benito County. Are we doing anything working together like with the chamber? I just had a meeting with them a couple weeks ago and they were showing me some of the publications that they've done and they really were pretty incredible. And so I just, think it's an opportunity if we maybe can share some of those things rather than having all of these overlapping. But is there any collaborating going on between any of the groups using this?
Yes, I had planned to reach out. We just applied for the grant. And so I have the brochure. I was definitely going to go to the HDA and the chamber, the business council, and just get some help with it once we move forward. If we get the grant, we do want to update it. We want to be inclusive. We want to place for business cards and we don't want to duplicate anything. So if we find that the chamber has something similar that we don't need to produce this new document, we'll look for another way to maybe work on something that goes to site selectors, that we're looking that maybe the chamber and the downtown association doesn't do. Something that we can do with a visit San Benito County, and these are people that you need to collaborate with and talk to. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I completely agree with that, that we need to be collaborating and working together to not replicate, but also at the same time ensuring that because these are nonprofit organizations, correct?
Mhm.
That they,
Yep.
that we're not just taking their resources. I think we need to be very mindful about paying our share for anything that we're piggybacking on and contributing to. I mean, just if we do it, they contribute with us. If we take it from them, we contribute to them, just so that we show that we're collaborating.
No, absolutely. I just don't want, multiple of the
multiple-
same
yep.
thing when it's like, hey, let's put all of the, put the pot of money and let's really do a robust
Mhm.
program and something
And
that
share it with
really
everybody.
benefits economic development moving
Be
into kind of the
used
future.
by everybody.
Yeah, that could be used by everybody. So
I
that was
love
just
that.
where I was going with that comment.
No, it's great.
And I have been talking about a consortium where we come together and collaborate on other things. I think it'd be important to do that rather than just say, well, they don't do that, so we'll do this.
Mhm,
I think we need to all work together
mhm.
better on.
And I think like this could be a possible great place for some of that to happen, right? That collaboration and really kind of strengthening our efforts of economic development here in our county.
And if I may ask, Madam Chair, where and how can I feel like as a new board member, I know what the business council is. I know what the chamber is. I know, there's all the economic development, but there's so many entities and I feel like I don't know what lane each group is in. Is there any way we could develop something as a group of the lanes and where they overlap, where they don't overlap, and then start to see, I'm a visual person, start to see how we can, like you're saying, collaborate more and not be redundant, but at the same time, really know that this is the role of the chamber and we step back from that and they take the lead on this part, but over here, the business council really takes the lead on this part. I don't know anything well enough to say I completely understand how they all interconnect. I know they do.
I would love that.
Wouldn't that be great?
How do the
does everybody
committees
feel?
kind of feel about
Yeah.
that? The other committee members, would that be helpful for you as well?
I think it would be.
Okay.
We do have ex officio members on the line. If
What was that?
We have Zoom members on the line.
Ex officio members on
Right,
the
so
line.
I mean,
So
Any
I think that's what she was
Any
asking.
comments that
That's
they
what she was
have?
asking for. Gracie.
yes, we have Christina from the Business Council.
Good afternoon, Christina Chavez White on behalf of the Business Council, contracted executive director, ex officio member. There actually is a comprehensive list that we collaborated with the EDC to put together that describes each organization, goals, objectives, and course of work that I can forward. In regard to power and streamlining, I do recommend a collaboration with RMA and the cities for developing a pre-application checklist, most specifically for businesses that are existing in Hollister that are seeking to expand, needing to know what the ground, what they're going to need to prepare, et cetera, expectations and cost and timeline. I also want to just, while I have the opportunity in public comment, is bring some information to the committee in regard to existing businesses that are having concern in regard to the current economy. They're conducting layoffs. It'd be important to collaborate with County Workforce Development Board and the Business Services Division for retention, placement, training, incumbent worker programs, et cetera. When we do have time in this meeting to talk about collaboration with broadband and IT, other committees within the county. And then also for the future is bringing in the Winery Heritage Assessment District and Corridor to this committee versus having it at the broader Board of Supervisors meeting, as well as an update on the implementation of the general plan economic development element. Thank you.
Thank you.
it was all great to me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I took a bunch of
It
notes.
kind of brings it, all of it together. So I think that's
Absolutely.
we're gonna have to piece through this, but I think the end goal, I think that's a phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Gr-
Can we,
Gracie, was there anyone else?
Yes, there was other members.
Hi,
If
can
you-
you hear?
Yes,
This is Mayor Casey, Mia Casey. I'm just sort of eavesdropping here since we have our own economic development committee, I think, with the city, which I'm still learning, being new, but it seems strange to have two separate committees, one for county and one for city, when so much overlaps. And I'm wondering about the idea of, combining that somehow, and maybe that's a question for Ray, I'm not sure, but something to think about. The other thing is I've had multiple conversations with Renee on this very issue about the roles of EDC versus the chamber versus HDA. And, for me, EDC very much is about regional marketing. And part of the reason this brochure is happening is that we did have an instance where a business came in, talked to the city manager and I, asking questions, asking for statistics, and we didn't have something specific to give them. And for me, I'm really excited that Renee is pursuing this. I think we need to have data at our fingertips when a business comes in like this. For me, the chamber, and they can speak to it more, but for me, the chamber is more about supporting businesses that exist and helping them to network and keeping them here. So I see them differently. And then of course, HDA is very focused on downtown, but I would love to see some kind of a committee or roundtable or something discussion, just bring all the entities together and kind of collaborate about what's the best way forward. And so I'm certainly happy to be involved in that if it comes to fruition. So that's all I got.
thank you. You've been unmuted. Please state your name for the record.
Hi, this is Sean Herrera with the Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, great. Yes, we just wanted to, we have been pondering this and we're trying to figure out a way to most effectively to do this. So we're actually meeting on a consecutive basis or a consistent basis so that we all know what all the other groups are doing. So we really stay informed and really stay in our lanes. We've tried to put this together in the past, but we just haven't had a lot of luck on the all the organizations participating at one time or ignoring the request. So if we can have the help of maybe county and city to push this as more of a mandatory thing, it would be greatly appreciated.
Thank you. In chambers, we have one comment.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Omar Rosa. I'm the CEO of the Hollister Downtown Association. And so just for our sake, we are more of the event-driven part of the downtown area. So any events that you're seeing happening, farmers markets, at a horse show, lights on parade, those are HDA events, partnering with the city, putting those events together. So that's kind of only where we are. So I agree, everybody kind of has their own separate things, and we're more of the advertising to, hey, come and enjoy downtown and all the businesses here and all these events that we're doing for the community. So that's mainly what we're sticking with. Any questions on that?
We have no further comments.
thank you. Thank you, Omar. I'm looking forward to your event this weekend, I guess it is, right? On Saturday, learning all about like what there is for youth in San Benito County. So yeah, thank you. So kind of what I hear from all of the public comments is that everybody is wanting and willing to collaborate and cooperate, which I think is really exciting. So for our future agenda item, can we maybe kind of put together that collaborative approach to make sure? I love the idea of including the city too. And maybe getting a really robust committee and really working on things here.
Yeah, and I agree with the mayor that, we need to build this relationship between the city and the county and benefit what benefits the community and really show that we're uniting on a front for economic development that isn't fighting or I don't mean to use that word, is conflicting with each other's goals. We keep our goals united for the community and what's best for us. So I'm very open to that conversation.
Can I add one thing, if that okay? So I know the next item, we're going to kind of talk a little bit about economic development and kind of a little bit of history of this committee, but I just give you a quick brief. I think that was the essence from the prior board, was to try to work together, because there was a lot of pushing and pulling, and ideas were, oh, this is great, and then another idea from somewhere else, and it was just causing more work and not really making progress. So I think that was really the essence of trying to bring all the groups together, all the nonprofits together, the jurisdictions together, to try to move in the right direction. I think ultimately that was the goal, as well as also looking at our county in general revenues, because we just had a board retreat that we really need to look at increasing our tax base, sales tax base, and AV from an industrial commercial point of view. So I think those are really great things that we need to look at and really spearhead. So I just wanted to share that kind of side point, but we'll definitely bring that back to this committee. Be great topic.
And just to piggyback on that, I after attending our CSAC new supervisor third training, second, oh, we did one Zoom. We did 2 in person and 1. Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. Still considered the first one. I really got out of it. One of the things is all about the analogy of keeping in your lane. You can pass a car, and get out of your lane for a little bit, but then you need to get back into your lane. I really loved being able to hear that and see that visually. What I kind of have seen is a little bit of the, you've got one car going one way and one car going the other way, and you're not realizing you're actually not helping each other instead of uniting on a forward front. So I'm really excited about this, and I'm so grateful to be on this committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so let's move on to receiving an overview of the Economic Development Advisory Committee activities, including but not limited to the Micro Business Grant Program.
allocate 2,000 for a California Mission Trial Auto Tour Tourism Program. That was approved by Supervisor or former Supervisor Hernandez and Supervisor Gonzalez. One of the other items that we kind of went after was the grant writing firm. We have contracted with California Consulting's grant writing firm. We've roughly been with them for approximately 10 months. During those 10 months, they were able to assist with the local agency technical assistance program. We received a grant for $500,000 to pursue with a broadband network design for San Benito County. Some of the other pending ones are the BSCC Prop 61 Public Health and Safety Grant, which is approximately 3.5 million. That one is pending, as well as the other one that's pending is the Caltrans Highway Safety Improvement Program. And you can see the amount just below that. That one is pending for award or other. On this slide, you're able to see kind of a snapshot of where we're at with the American Rescue Plan Act funding. On the very far left, you're able to see the programs that we kind of allocated funding towards, how much they're budgeted for, and expenditures that show from September 29, 2022. That's what we spent this far. The next column over, that's what we spent in the last quarter. Believe that is December and the 2 months prior. And then committed funds, that's what we have left to spend within those certain projects. And then as you can see, the following total expenditures and committed, that's the total once again. And then at the very first purple column that you see is what we spent so far. An update on the micro business grant program. This program was delegated to the Economic Development Committee to oversee. The latest numbers as of November 2022, we were able to award approximately 26 businesses in total. We did receive 24 applications. The last go around, total applications that we were able to award, each receiving approximately 2,500, was 10 of those that we had received. Those were awarded. We have about funding for about 16 more. The latest numbers that we've had on the third round, we received 24 applicants. Staff is still in process of reviewing those applicants for the requirements. Tentative dates that we have are notification of award. We anticipate doing that soon. And then grant disbursement would be for March 13th to March 24th. I do say tentative as those dates may change. They may end up getting pushed, but hopefully we're able to kind of do so before the funding needs to be returned, which will be in June of 2023, this year. And then other items that we could potentially have the committee discuss is the Local Assistance and Tribal Contingency Fund. Our office submitted a request for funding early last year. On this slide, you're able to see how much the County of San Benito was allocated, approximately $330K, give or take. The first report for first obligation and expenditure report is due at the end of the incoming month, March 31st, 2023. And then we will be receiving the second payment sometime this year as well. We have received the first payment in totaling 165 with 199.36 cents. And that concludes my presentation. If there's any questions, be happy to answer those.
And just to encapsulate this, if I may, Madam Chair, is just we just wanted to give you kind of a brief of what we've been working on, what the prior committee members were working on, and in particular, it's not just, you know, there's multiple facets to the economic development. Some of it's just the county unincorporated area, as well as our partners as well with the economic, with our nonprofits. So it's multiple facets is how we, we view this, and just wanted to make sure that your board is aware of it, the committee members are aware of it, and any other direction maybe that you might want to go or look at, we can adapt to that and spearhead. But I think really it's multiple facets, and really the generating force of the creation of this is just to try to bring in more revenue for the county in the unincorporated area. So, but I think with that, I think our dollars jointly could do more. So I think it's really advantageous for us to work with our partners, work with the cities, work with, the other nonprofits to leverage as much as we can to, better our community as well as the unincorporated area in the county. So I just wanted to share that with you. So, yeah.
Supervisor Curl.
This is great. I really appreciate this. This is exactly the kind of information I was hoping to get at today's meeting, because there are so many facets to this. The only thing I didn't see in here, and I'm not sure if this conversation has come up in prior board meetings, but how are we looking at our unincorporated area road priorities versus economic development? Because if we haven't been looking at that, I really think it's something we need to bring either to this committee or to the board, is how can certain roads and the repairs of the roads boost our economic development in our unincorporated area? It's an area I want to kind of combine the priorities and look at, if these areas bring in economic development because we do the road repairs, then let's focus on those, get the revenue in so we have more money to go towards the other roads. Not to bring everything back to roads, but roads are a major impact right now on economic development and people being able to grow their businesses based on the constituents and the individuals I've spoken to in District 4. That's my only comment. The only other thing, if I can ask, can you educate me a little bit more about this local assistance and tribal consistency fund, and what is this money used for? Not to say I'm totally, this is a new one for me. I've never heard of it.
So this was part of the American Rescue Plan Act. It was embedded into it. So they appropriated about $750 million to pay for eligible revenue sharing counties, one of them being ourselves. So in the guidelines, it states that we can essentially use this funding similar to general fund funding. The only thing we won't be able to use it for is lobbying activities. So
Really?
that's a
It's that
discussion.
broad? Wow. Okay.
And then just so you know, the ARPA, the funding that we did receive, they actually, there were many revisions with that, and allowed really us to leverage our funding in almost any manner that we could, but is mainly for salaries. There was something, COVID related. There were, when it first went out with the, the requirements, but then as time went on, there were some things that they said that you could also use it for at the end. So they were specific, coverts and certain things, but as time went on, there were some edits and changes to that. And this is even, you can even use this, for whatever, this particular funding, but it's all kind of under that huge umbrella. So.
And the U.S. Department of the Treasury did have a PowerPoint. I can definitely send those out for review.
That'd be great. Thank you.
So it looks like our first obligation and expenditure report is due. So did we already, that one fiscal year 2022, I'm assuming?
We already received it. We just haven't had the discussion of how we want to utilize those funds.
But it looks like the first obligation and expenditure report is due by the end of this month,
yes,
or next month, sorry, in 30 days. So will that be coming before the Board of Supervisors, or how does this work?
we can definitely. Oh, Ray.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, typically all ARPA items go to the board. So I was actually going to mention this, that we were going to come back to the board with an ARPA overview line item, and potentially utilize some of the funding in there for the RVs that the board had asked us to bring back, and then to do the housekeeping on this. So we'll typically we had the ARPA committee, which we would have open dialogue about it. But since it's not, we don't have that, we'll have to bring it back to the whole board and let the board discuss it.
Okay.
That's just my,
Will some of this go towards economic development? Possibly, maybe.
wishes of the board,
Okay.
whatever you want to use it for.
Just thinking, we spend a little money to make some money.
I think that's important. I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for the list. It was great. I would only add that I would love to see, and maybe this is, well, I'll save it for future agenda items. So that's fine. So no, nothing further from me. Okay. Committee reports. Do we have any committee reports?
Did we already do public comment for this?
No, I don't
item?
think we did on this item. Sorry. Public comment.
On Zoom, please press *9 or the raise your hand icon. In chambers, please step forward. No comments.
Okay. So committee reports.
Would any committee members like to provide a report? Please press *9 or the raise your hand icon. No comment.
Public comment.
Members of the public who wish to speak on this item, please press *9 or the raise your hand icon. No comment.
Thank you. Quick
Okay.
question,
Yes.
Madam Chair. Do we have subcommittees of this committee?
Typically, I mean, it's up to this board. If there's going to be a working committee, we can, you can assign some folks to certain things if you like you could do that with any.
Okay.
Any.
Do we have
committee.
any existing?
We don't have, I don't think so.
Okay, just wanted to make
Not that I'm
sure that we.
aware of. I mean, do we, well, I know that we have new members, so I don't know if there's any assignments that were carried over from before. I don't think.
Well, I know that we reduced some of them. So there used to be economic
Yeah.
development, there was tourism, and I think we kind of just put everything into economic development. I mean, this essentially will be the committee that looks at all revenue generation opportunities and options.
If I may, I believe this includes the ex officio members, committee members.
Yeah.
So anybody of.
Yeah,
those individuals.
but an outside shoot, I think, just for clarity.
That's what I wanted to clarify
Just-
is what we have done to this committee.
We've made it all encompassing.
Thank you. I just wanted to make that public so that everyone's aware we're trying to take all of these facets and bring it together and bring all of the individuals to the table
Yes.
to really look at the big picture economic development for the community.
Yes.
Can I add one more comment, just so the public and the committee members are aware of it? So we had quite a few items that were brainstormed out of this committee originally, and then there were ad hocs and committees that were created from that. So now we're kind of reducing that and bringing it back into this committee, which is fine. I just want to make sure everyone understood that and knew kind of what you were saying and put it in the context. So that was it. So now I think it's great. I think that way we're focused on revenue generation.
Yeah, and we may get to a point where we have ad hocs and different things from this or a little
Or
shoots off of it.
Exactly, a subcommittee.
But I think right now it's just looking at everything, getting everybody in the same room, looking at all of our options and really developing kind of plans moving forward. And then once we get into specifics, we may be able to shoot off into different
Right.
ad hocs or
Completely agree.
committees.
Is there anything that we want to bring back to this committee from all these ad hocs that we kind of consolidated back in? Do we want to bring back a future agenda item to kind of say, where did they leave off? What were they working on? What did they leave off? And how do we bring that back to us? Just throwing it out there, just
Staff
so we
can work
don't
on
lose
that.
that knowledge
And-
and conversation.
And what we'll do is staff will work on that and because we're intimately involved with a lot of the committees. So any of those items that have actually occurred, we'll bring it back to this committee.
Yeah, maybe put it as a future agenda item again for maybe next month meeting, we can review.
Yeah.
Okay, so perfect segue into future agenda items. Does the board or any of the committee members have any future agenda items that they would like to add. And just throwing this out there, this doesn't seem like a very collaborative setup for a meeting. Is there, I know that this is a public meeting. Is there any way that in the future we can have where we could all be sitting at this table or something so that, or is it has to be this way because it's a public meeting?
Well, no, I highly recommend it being all in person. I think that makes it a little bit more collaborative, and we could
Yes.
sit down there on the table here in the front, which is fine.
Okay.
It's just nice because of the way the setup is for Zoom and
Yeah.
the way it is right now. But come next month, we should be present.
And so I guess that's a question to the other committee members. And Omar, I apologize. I'll let you speak in 1 second. But I really would like to see this be a little bit more of a collaborative and sitting around this table. Are the other committee members, are you open to having this be kind of an in-person meeting?
I'm totally open. Our ex officio
Mhm.
members.
That's
is-
who I'm kind of
Referring
asking
to-
as
yeah.
kind of our ex officio committee members. And we're going to let Omar speak first, and then we'll go back to that question. So sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm open to that. So
Thank you.
that's why we're here. But I think for a while, we could only do these things via Zoom. And that's why we're probably doing a hybrid for that. But no, the only reason I bring it up, Dulce approached me before she went on leave about the San Benito County's 150-year anniversary coming up next year. So I don't know if that's a future agenda item for this particular group, or is it something to discuss separately? But just throwing it out there, February of next year, it's supposed to be the anniversary for that. So I don't know if there's any planning behind any of that as yet for that.
So yeah, thank you. I think that we actually have an ad hoc committee now with the Board of Supervisors, and I believe it is Supervisor Gonzalez and Supervisor Zenger. Am I correct?
You're correct.
And so they will be working on that. I don't know that this committee we probably won't do any work on that 150th, but if you would like, I can give a message to Supervisor Gonzalez and Zenger to.
Yeah, again, it was just because something that was approached to me before this
Yeah.
meeting or this upcoming meeting. So I just wanted to make sure that that was.
Yeah,
something
no,
that was-
thank you. Yeah, I do know that the board members are going to be working really hard with staff and trying to put something together for the county and the community.
Just to add on that, I think it's a great opportunity to bring our local businesses, especially our unincorporated businesses, together and help not just, have their names and their businesses highlighted at the 150th with the history of our county, but also potentially being sponsors and contributors towards the celebration. I think that's something that ad hoc will hopefully be addressing. So I thank you for your comments, because you're making me think about how to tie in businesses with that.
We bring it up too, because something you guys mentioned earlier about the collaboration between all the different groups that are out here and the nonprofits. But when we did the city's 150 year, that's when we really got the opportunity to sit down with a lot of the nonprofits that we normally don't get to partner with and work together with, and sit down and have these meetings. So that was one of the things that came out of it that was really interesting. I think we had over 20 partners that came through and sat down and planned and did the events that happened during the 150 for the city last year. So I think it's a great opportunity there, again, for the collaboration of these different groups as well. So thank you.
And maybe it is something that this committee wants to put as a future agenda item in looking at the economic development and kind of the businesses that we have in the county and ways to highlight that. Then this committee could maybe make a recommendation to the 150th ad hoc committee.
Completely agree, especially if we're highlighting, the history of these businesses and how long they've been in our county. I think this could really open the eyes to not just to us, but to our community about, how much unincorporated business we have, and then how much more we could have, the opportunities there.
So can we get another future agenda item, please?
Sure,
of
I wrote it down.
businesses in 150. Okay, thank you.
And just one other point, if I may, just for, I know that basically all the voting members need to be present now because the requirement now in March. So it'd be good, especially if there's an item that's going to be voted on, to maybe have everyone present. So we could still have Zoom and there can still be some discussions, but that'll have to be posted if they were going to be voting away from this area. So it just adds to more work for the clerk and complexity of not knowing where these individuals are going to be at if they're going to be voting on anything. Typically, I'm trying to remember, Gracie, voting, it's more direction, more discussion. There are some times where there's voting, but I don't know. I'm just trying to gauge, the amount of.
Who votes besides Supervisors Kuro and I?
I don't believe anybody else votes. You two would be the voting members. The ex officios, I believe, would kind of assist with feedback.
Well, I have to look at because I know the ex officio for intergovernmental, they vote. So we need to look at bylaws.
Yeah.
So I'll leave it as that. We'll double check that.
And I can forward the bylaws as well. For membership, there shall be 2 voting members of the committee serving 1-year terms or until a successor is appointed and able to serve. And then section B reads 5 ex officio committee members, including the Business Council, Chamber of Commerce, Economic Development Corporation, Downtown Association, and the San Juan Bautista Committee.
All right. So I guess there's no voting, I think we still need to look at that. I need to talk to legal about that, just because I know that
Okay, perfect. So
Excellent,
another
yeah.
future agenda item.
we'll have to look at that in
Perfect.
because there may be some direction that's given as
Okay.
well.
I know in the previous group, when it got together, there was 3 different options as to how they wanted to proceed with that. And they ended up electing where just the 2 board of supervisors would be the voting members. And we were just kind of there for
Input?
support.
Okay.
But so that's how they
All right.
decided on that when they did the vote, when this started.
And I just know that it's silent, but sometimes there's legal things behind the scenes. So that's why I wanted to look at it a little bit more closer. But yeah.
And then, Madam Chair, do we need to direct staff at all about the potential recommendation from Mayor Casey on maybe looking at economic development as a community in one committee instead of having a city committee and a county committee? I don't know if legal would have to get involved in that.
Well, I know that, we've worked through the bylaws, so they've been codified by our board. We could revamp that if the city, if we have one with the city, then we have to probably revamp everything. But why don't we bring, staff will work on it and come back and
Yeah,
report.
and I'm
out.
not saying that we do it. I'm just saying, looking at it, or maybe even having, are the cities ex officios of this?
I don't know if, I don't know. I haven't read their
Sound like it.
bylaws, so I have no
Didn't
idea.
sound like it. Yeah, so maybe that's where we just add them. They have theirs, but they can come here and
Right.
share so that we can kind of unite on some information.
And I would suggest that we include San Juan Bautista into the conversation as well.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing City of
Both, I
Hollister,
think.
City of San Juan Bautista too.
Say both cities.
Okay, so are there any additional comments as far as on Zoom? If we do all of the meetings kind of in person, I know there's a few committee members that are online right now. Do any of them want to speak to if coming in person works for them or doesn't work for them?
We have Sean. If you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. It'd be perfect if we can all come together and just do it face to face. I think we'll get a lot more out of it.
Liz from the San Benito County Workforce Development is open to meeting in person as well. We have no further comments on Zoom.
Okay, thank you. So future agenda items, then I would like to add, can we do a future agenda item for coming up with a development agreement for the unincorporated area, inviting RMA, planning and building possibly, and having a discussion so that we're capturing all the point of sale.
Perfect.
Totally
Okay.
agree.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
second that.
I think I've gotten the other, we've got lots of future agenda items now. Any additional ones, Supervisor?
I'm gonna just end it at that.
Okay. Do any of our committee members have any additional future agenda items?
No comment on Zoom.
Any public comment?
On Zoom, please press *9 or the raise your hand icon. No comment.
Okay, CAO Espinosa?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, maybe as a discussion item with this group, is just because we do have a lot of items to discuss. I mean, that can be a 3-hour conversation. So one of the things we didn't cover is how the length of the meeting and what the vision is, how many items potentially to cover. Maybe it might be good to maybe split this up
Mhm.
a little bit, not have this all in the next meeting. But what's your thoughts on timing? We didn't really talk about that. Like,
I think in interest of everybody's time and to keep it very efficient, I think an hour.
Mhm.
okay,
I second that completely.
okay,
And I think we can do that, where we just quick updates, quick, presentations, and then get to the meat of what we want to try and accomplish.
okay.
And I totally understand that. I didn't mean for every future agenda
No,
item
I-
to be next,
No.
next meeting. But at some point, I just think we're brand new,
Right.
coming into this committee. And I think we're both really excited and have some ideas and really want to prosper in kind of the economic development area. And so we're probably overly eager.
Well, and maybe if you don't mind, I think maybe an hour and a half might work with
Max.
staff, just because there's going to be some topics that are going to go on, and maybe that would be the,
Okay.
the drop
I think we
dead.
try to keep
To
it
go
to
with
an
an hour.
hour, absolute max, an hour and a half.
Exactly. That's,
Okay.
I just know how. that
I'm good
goes.
with that.
I'm
Okay.
good with that.
All right.
Okay. Then if we don't have any other comments, then I'd like a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor? Aye. 2-0. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We look forward to working with you.